Good morning and welcome to this basic hydraulics course. Today we will be discussing on the differences between open loop system and closed loop hydrostatic systems. The topics for today is we will have to first understand what is open loop system, what is closed loop system, and what are the differences between open loop system and closed loop system. So let's move straight away into our subject. The oil from the reservoir moves to the pump, is sucked through the pump, and from the pump it goes through the control valve, as you can see, and from the control valve it goes to a bidirectional motor. From the motor, the return oil goes back through the control valve and then back to the reservoir. This is in one direction, but because it is a bidirectional flow motor, we can change the direction of flow by changing the position of the solenoid, which is usually electrically operated. The oil now moves and comes from the pump as usual, but here in the case of the solenoid, the direction is changed, and therefore this causes the oil to move in the different direction, and therefore the motor rotates in the opposite direction. In this case, we have added a system main relief valve and also two-position, two-way spring offset solenoid operated directional control valve. And then we have also put in a flow control valve here, and the pump is replaced by a fixed displacement hydraulic pump. Once the pump starts giving flow, the amount of oil going to the motor can be controlled by this throttle valve. Speed variation is therefore possible for this bidirectional motor. In this case, it is a closed loop hydrostatic system where there is one loop here connecting from the pump to the motor and another loop connecting the pump motor back to the pump, and the fixed displacement pump has been replaced by a variable displacement piston pump. We have given an additional auxiliary pump which is also known as a charge pump. The charge pump consists of a suction filter and two replenishment check valves and a simple basic charge inlet relief valve. The function of this charge circuit is to ensure that the oil is fully available always in both sides of the closed loop hydrostatic system. When the pump is producing flow, the oil goes from the pump and comes to the motor, and one side of the loop is called the high pressure loop and one side of the loop is called the low pressure side of the loop. When the oil is not yet fully replenished in the entire system, this replenishment check valve will open on the low pressure side of the hydrostatic system and allow oil to flow into the system and replenish the same. Once the system is fully replenished, pressure is equalized on both sides, and therefore this replenishment check valve stands closed, and therefore the simple charge inlet relief valve will open and divert the flow from the charge circuit back to the reservoir. We have provided two system main relief valves, one for each side of the loop. In case the motor is locked and the motor does not rotate, then there will be system overpressurization. To prevent this, the main relief valve will open and divert flow and relieve the pressure to the low pressure side of the loop. Let's have a look at the animation. We have the case drains in green from the pump and the motor, and then we have the charge pump, the replenishment check valves and the inlet charge relief valve. The system main relief valve is connected on both sides of the loop, one on the low pressure side in yellow and one on the high pressure side marked in red. As we know, if the oil is flowing continuously from the pump to the motor and back to the pump, overheating can take place. To prevent this overheating, a metered quantity of hot oil has to be removed from the closed loop hydrostatic system and has to be conditioned and cleaned and then sent back to the reservoir, and from where it is sucked back into the system again. To do this, we have added a shuttle valve here, a three-position valve, which is having pilot connection to the low pressure side of the loop and to the high pressure side of the loop. There is an additional simple orifice and a simple relief valve. This relief valve is given here to ensure there is no vacuum created in the low pressure side of the loop. So this relief circuit here, the shuttle valve, the shuttle orifice and the simple relief valve is together known as the loop flushing circuit, or otherwise known as hot oil strip, where a metered quantity of hot oil is continuously drained from the closed loop hydrostatic system back to the tank. So these are the two differences between the closed loop system and the open loop system. In the open loop system, the oil from the reservoir goes from the pump, goes to the motor, and the return oil from the motor flows back through the control valve back to the pump, back to the tank. But in the case of a closed loop system, the oil from the pump goes to the motor and the return oil is sent back to the motor, and we have introduced a charge circuit and a shuttle relief valve for removing the hot oil from the system. Thank you.